Hello, today we're going to be reading Foodprints, The Story of What We Eat by Paula Eyre. I'm going to start with the introduction today. The introduction starts on page 2. What do you think of when you think about food? Your dad's famous burgers, your mom's curry simmering on the stove, or your grandma's cookies baking in the oven? Maybe the pizza slice you're planning to grab after school, or the granola bar you shoved in your mouth between classes. With so many delicious choices when it comes to your next snack or meal, no wonder many of us wrestle with the all-important question, what should I eat? It's easy to take food at face value. It's delicious, you're hungry, you eat it, the end. But if you look a little closer, everything on your plate tells a story. Every morsel of food came from somewhere and went through a journey, often a fascinating one, to get to you. Sometimes those stories stretch back hundreds or thousands of years to the first people who thought to bury a seed in the ground. The story of any food has many different authors: the farmers who grew the food, the scientists who tinkered with it, the workers who processed it, the companies that sold it, and the person, maybe you or someone in your family, who cooked it. There are different chapters, sometimes spanning cultures and continents, and twists in the plot, either from decisions or accidents of fate. The food in your own kitchen tells stories about where your family comes from and where you live. If you read between the lines, it might tell you about how much money your family has to spend on food, your culture and traditions, and the things you value. And of course, it tells you what your taste buds prefer, whether it's sushi or peanut butter sandwiches. These days, we have more choice about what we eat than ever before. In fact, when it comes to food, you're likely more experienced than your parents. Back when they were kids, meat and potatoes and veggies was a pretty standard meal for many North Americans. Today, you'd be as likely to find pasta, tacos, or stir fry on the table. Things have changed outside of the home, too. In the average restaurant, you can order meals from cultures around the world, and your local grocery store probably caters to all sorts of food preferences, from organic to gluten free. When you were younger, you didn't have to make so many choices about food. You ate what your parents gave you, or if you were lucky, whatever you could convince them to buy. But now that you're older, you're likely making some of your own decisions about what you eat, whether it's by adding to the family grocery list, buying snacks, deciding where to go for lunch with friends, or helping to prepare dinner. And as you get more involved, questions might come up like, where does my food come from? How was it made? Is what I'm eating going to make me feel good and keep me healthy? And what convinced me to eat this instead of something else? You can learn how to read the stories that food tells. You probably see all sorts of information about food, like ads for soft drinks, nutrition information in school, and internet lists proclaiming the best and worst foods to eat. But the messages often contradict each other, and it can be hard to know which ones to trust. So while this book won't help you answer the question of what to eat, it will give you the tools to understand how to read your food, where it comes from, why it matters, and what you can do to make informed decisions about what ends up on your plate. Throughout the following chapters, we'll look at how our modern, ultra-convenient food systems evolved and whether it lives up to its promises to make our lives better, the role of the big farms and factories where a lot of our food is produced, what it takes to be healthy and how to figure out what nutrition advice you can trust, the weird science of food and how people in lab coats are as important as farmers to the modern food system, how food is sold and why advertisers crave teens' attention, and how some people are trying to shape the future of food in positive ways and what you can do to join in. There's a huge world of food around you, a world that can be both exciting and confusing. But becoming a good reader of food is the first step towards making conscious choices. And you make those choices whether you realize it or not every time you sit down to eat. First, we'll start at the beginning.